So you knew that. And as parents, God, I'd have been scared to death.
Yeah.
I'd have locked my kids down. But this isn't that. And,
Here, let me kind of shift gears and keep in the same spot. This feels like, and I don't know about the pandemic piece of it, but like I mentioned and I said this on Pete Mundo this morning, all it took was a 2-week, everybody says, gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if the whole country could just have a month off of work and everybody gets to relax, right? And have a vacation. Right. Here we have a month off of work and 80% of the private sector is facing bankruptcy. 80% of American citizens are facing bankruptcy in just under 4 weeks. And again, if the government, we already know the government's damn near defaulting. In fact, just as of this morning, I don't know if you saw it, 1 month and 3 month treasuries went negative. So here we are. We're in negative interest rates at the moment with U.S. debt. This feels cultural. What happened to the days of responsibility where Dave Ramsey have 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund? Like so many people don't have any. So many companies, on the stock market don't have an emergency. It's very much in the now, spend, live on credit, that kind of thing. And this, do you get that at all? Do you feel like there's a cultural thing here as well, where it's? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And we keep hearing about the people living on this edge. They're all expecting to be bailed out. I mean, that's part of the problem. They're all expecting someone to take care of them. I think young people expect their parents. And I've been saying this for a long time. I mean, I've written articles about this. I said, why are senior citizens getting discounts? We have all the money.
Good point.
I don't. Our houses are paid for. Our cars are paid for. We got money in the bank. I hope.
Yeah.
I have insurance on my stock holdings. I don't know if that'll. I hope that holds. If the
Very
country,
nice.
Unless the country collapsed, I'm pretty good there. But and our kids know they could depend on us. Our children.
Mm-hmm.
But too many of our children and their children have become expectant that they'll be bailed out,
Mm-hmm.
and that they haven't saved, and that they've spent too much, and that they've live on credit cards.
Well, and I think this is also part of my campaign. One of my campaign staff yesterday, we were doing some things, and she was saying the three words that describe your campaign. I need them. What are they? Throw them out.
Right.
And I'm thinking, the first one that comes to mind every time she asks is responsibility.
Right.
Andrew Breitbart used to say, what is it? Culture is downstream from politics, or vice versa. Politics
is downstream from culture.
Okay, yeah. Right. And when I'm describing this thing of responsibility, look at our elected officials.
Yeah.
No responsibility.
Yeah.
They feel no sense of responsibility or duty for what their job is. And like we mentioned right now, can't we come together on this one issue? Surely this isn't a left versus right, but they're up there just screwing around, coming off of an extended vacation when America's going on a nationwide quarantine.
Right. No
economic movement. And then we start this nonsense of, well, let me see if I can get this pork. This is like a nasty, filthy, disgusting stuffed turkey on Thanksgiving, and nobody wants to touch it right now. I think
it was so bad. I mean, I had never seen this before on Twitter. I've stopped looking at social media as much as I used to read Twitter all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a consumer, I didn't post much, but there were trending were 4 negative memes about Nancy Pelosi, which was if on Twitter, which is left dominated in terms of the way they allow things to trend. I said, oh my gosh, I must have done something bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fortunately, I have a couple nice projects that I'm working on that doesn't change my life.
Okay.
Although you can't be unaware of the cultural collapse around you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is some good that comes out of this at the end.
Well, I also want to, because this goes inside, this cultural question I have. This goes a lot to the book you just wrote. So we're going to do a free plug here. But The Hunt. And actually you wrote, let me see if I can find it on here quickly. This is actually when I realized that you were writing on American Thinkers, when you wrote the article about, well, do you remember the name of that one?
It was about why your sons refuse to read.
Yes, absolutely. And I thought, God, that's such a well-written, here we go. And I'm not just trying to blow smoke at you. This was such a well-written article because it's one of those articles where immediately, you feel that inside of you where it's like, that guy just hit me right in the feels.
Right.
And it's true because you start listing some of these books. I'm like, thinking back to high school or college, I remember as a freshman in college, we had to read this multicultural nonsense book, your required freshman book, right?
Right.
But I remember when I was maybe middle school, late elementary school, the first book that really got me into reading was The Outsiders.
Right.
And like that was a
S.E.
good,
Hinton, right.
yeah, that was a good adventurous coming of age
Right.
book for men, boys turning into men.
Even though it was written by a girl.
Well, I mean, whatever though. See, it didn't matter though. It was a good,
Right.
or like Harry Potter to an extent. That was an exciting read for a kid. But you kind of say here why your sons refuse to read, the general overview, and those of you at home who are curious, take 10 minutes and read it. It's a pretty good, very tiny observation of a small part of our culture where. Why don't you describe what you're trying to illustrate?
Well, because with my co-author on the novel, The Hunt, Mike McMullen, and I wanted to write a book that young men would read. And that was part of our motive. And it's an action-adventure, political thriller set in Colorado. And, I brought Mike in on this project because even though I'm an Eagle Scout, but you're writing action-adventure for males today, you got to have everything perfect. You can't just, have half-assed, details. And Mike is a skilled outdoorsman. He has 2 sons. They're both in the Marines now. So Eagle Scout leader and all that stuff. In fact, I spoke at his son's honor court. So he knows about elk hunting in Colorado. What I know about is shooting airplanes out of the sky, since I wrote a book on that, TWA Flight 800.
Right.
And so we created a thriller set in Colorado in which a father and his 2 sons run into essentially a plot to kill the president. And what we wanted to show young men, or men and older men, is that virtue matters. There are things like honor and courage and persistence and endurance. And at the end of the day, these all come into play. If you want to do, acquit yourself well in the field of battle, or just acquit yourself well in life, faith, love, and you're fighting a group of people who have none of these virtues, that will help you prevail. And the book has been very well received. We've run into now a little marketing issue, but as you can imagine, just came out 2 months ago. But it is the young boys aren't getting that, and when I go through the reading list for recommended to boys and girls, for girls I suppose it's okay, but when 3/4 of the books are written by women, and then half of the other half are a quarter written by gays, and all of them are about social injustice or something. And when I started high school, and I went to an all boys high school, so it was a little different, but we had a summer reading list. I read them all, and I still remember the books. Mutiny on the Bounty, Men Against the Sea, Annapurna, Kon-Tiki, Call of the Wild, Huckleberry Finn, books about young men coming or men coming of age, or a book about virtue. So that is where we are today, and it's a.
Aside from, where do you see that type of virtue or those life lessons being put out today, for say millennials and younger? Do you see any positive individuals or outlets or anything? What do you see? You really have to look hard. So for instance, there's a lot of TV watching going on right now, let's face it. And thank God we live in an age with big TVs and Netflix and whatnot. But boy, it's the rare movie I see that I would recommend to young viewers, or the rare TV series. I know. Have you noticed, you're a critic of Obama like myself, and he definitely has ulterior motives all the time, his whole professional career. Have you noticed that since, and I don't know, do you use Netflix?
Yes.
Have you noticed that since he and Michelle and, who was the third one? Was it Susan Rice that got put on that board of directors to create content?
Right.
All of the trending stuff is all just social justice, economic justice, multicultural diversity forced on you. And it's not that that's a bad thing. I don't care. It's that it's obvious.
It's obvious. And you have to look hard. There are things looking around. Today, for instance, what I've been doing is I've been recording a lot of Turner Classic Movies.
Oh, okay.
Which is my salvation, personally. So yesterday I saved A Tale of Two Cities, which is exactly the kind of thing that young boys should be reading.
Okay.
Or watching or reading.
Okay.
It's a novel by Charles Dickens. It's about self-sacrifice. It's about courage. It's about virtue, you know. And when I watch these, you know, I'm particularly appalled by British crime TV shows. I don't know if you know this, but virtually all the lead roles now are played by females.
Okay.
And if they have a sidekick, it's a young man of color, right?
Well, now, Jack, don't you know that you're sexist and racist for noticing that?
Oh, absolutely. Guilty as charged. I'm sorry. You know, but just you can't not notice it. I mean, my father was a cop. I mean,
My name is Ryan Derks. I'm running for Missouri's 5th Congressional District, and I approve this message.